So guys, welcome to Must-Have Android Apps, episodes for which I've spent a long time digging around to make sure I find applications that when you install are completely priceless. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. So the first application on the list is called Direct Chat. Essentially, those little bubbles you see when you're messaging someone on Facebook, it replicates them for all your other social media too. It works for WhatsApp, Hangouts, Allo, Skype, and to be honest, it just makes multitasking a whole lot easier. Being able to reply to a conversation just by tapping on the bubble and typing means that you don't have to be constantly switching between applications. You can be enjoying a full screen application, tap the bubble, type a message, and then swipe it down and close the bubble again, and carry on exactly where you left off. So then we've got Pin Genie. It's a lock screen replacement that number one tries to increase your security and number two your level of customization. So booting it up for the first time, it looks pretty similar to the iPhone's lock screen, but the number of customization options here is crazy. You could change the layout of numbers for when you're entering your PIN, or you could set it so that you have to answer one of a series of questions to get into your smartphone. And Pin Genie also has some more advanced features. It can automatically take photos of anyone who unsuccessfully tries to enter your phone a few times and then email them to you. And you can also customize which applications you want to be able to open directly from the lock screen. There's also quite a few wallpapers built into it and different themes you can download which completely change the way the lock screen functions. So then, next up, 8-Bit Photo. An application that allows you to essentially transform any photo you've taken or one you've downloaded into something that's more reminiscent of a 1970s video game. Now in terms of what you do with those photos, I'm not too sure, but it's a pretty fun tool to play around with. But what really impressed me here was the level of customization. Not only can you select the color scheme, but also things like the resolution, and even more complex things like the level of texture filtering. So then we've got something which can vastly expand your browser's functionality. This is called Lookup, and essentially anytime you're scrolling through a web page, simply highlight a word that you're not sure what it means and hit the Lookup button, which will just appear once you've installed the application. It'll then bring up a little pop-up window and it'll tell you exactly what it means, and if it's got numerous definitions, it shows you all of them. It's a simple process, pretty intuitive. There are ads in the free version, but these can be disabled for a small fee. You can also make it speak out the words and translate them or put them in your Notes app on the spot if you've got the paid version. So then we've got a pretty interesting wallpaper app called Never Settle Wallpapers. And what this essentially does is takes the OnePlus slogan and slaps it on a ton of really high resolution and nice, colourful, clean wallpapers. And I mean, as a combination, it works really well. These are the kind of wallpapers that go really well in minimalistic setups, less so if you've got too much going on, but nonetheless it's an application worth playing around with. I know in terms of what it's doing, it's not exactly groundbreaking, but nonetheless, if the end result works, why do we care? There's a pretty wide selection, lots of different categories to go through, so yeah, I would recommend this one. So the 7th app on the list is something called Look of Disapproval, and it's essentially a source for all the different emoticons you could want to use. So for those of you who don't know, emoticons are kind of like emojis, but they're in text format, so they can be simply copied straight into your clipboard by tapping on them and pasted into anywhere where you can have a text-based input. And this generally gets a pretty good reaction. There's some pretty cool, pretty complex ones, and you can definitely display a little bit more emotion than you could with a standard emoji. So next up is a very simple application called 5217. And this was actually based off a study that's been done recently, suggesting that people are the most productive if they work for 52 minutes and then break for 17. And essentially all this application does is ties you to that schedule. Every time the mode switches between work and relax, the screen changes color, you can make it buzz, you can make it vibrate, and whilst you're in that work mode, if you try and use your phone, you'll be constantly reminded via a notification that you really should be working. So this is probably going to be your next wallpaper. This is called the Smart Wallpaper application, and it's a live wallpaper without the battery drain. So basically you choose when you want the wallpaper to cycle. It could be based on the week, the day, the month, or even the weather pattern or which Wi-Fi network you're connected to, and then you decide which wallpaper you want to display based on which scenario. And inbuilt to the app, they have a whole ton of really good, super high resolution and really clean photos. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1. You get a whole bunch of really high resolution photos, and at the same time you get the concept itself. And this is genuinely, after quite a bit of testing, one of the least draining live wallpapers. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and with that being said, I'm signing out.